Welcome back, everybody, to the World of Warcraft Arena Americas Regionals. Now at the caster desk, I once again am Josh Allen, aka Lord, joined by none other than Elliot Venruki Venxel. That was an amazing first series.
Yeah, that was an explosive series. We saw Method sort of dominate like we thought they would coming into this tournament. One of the favorites to definitely win. So coming up with that 2-0 victory right away was really no surprise.
Yeah, I got to say, though, that especially in that first game, Hype, I felt, was really actually holding on very, very well up against what is probably the favorite. They were the highest seed, Team Method was. So I feel like it's a little bit early to count Hype out just yet. Like, they do still have another match that they could potentially come back and win and move on, and they can actually still qualify. So I believe we actually have a bracket to look at to go ahead into that.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at the updated bracket. We see Method winning 2-0, moving up to the winner semifinals, and Hype going down to the losers semifinals. Next up for Group A will be Follow Esports against Temple Storm coming up a little bit later in the day. And for Group B, if we have that, we do have our next match coming up, Juveniles going up against Luminosity. And talking a little bit about that matchup, we do think, I mean, Juveniles is one of the only teams that came out to this tournament with only 3 players, primarily going to be playing that Rogue Mage Druid composition going up against, most likely, we'll see a Turbo Cleave.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and take a real quick refresher on how the rules are actually going to work out here in case you missed it in the opening sequence. It is a 3v3 arena, but each team is allowed a 4-player roster. Like Venruki was just saying, though, Team Juveniles does not actually have a 4th player, so they will not be able to take advantage of that, but Luminosity does. So if they want to have a little bit more flexibility and mix up their compositions a little bit, they will be able to. The first map of every series is going to be Nagrand Arena. That's pretty standard for World of Warcraft esports. It's just a very, very well-balanced map. Doesn't really give any too much in the way of favoritism towards any particular composition. And at the start, both teams will be declaring their compositions to the admins, but not to each other. So they don't necessarily, well, it's going to be pretty easy to guess which composition Team Juveniles is going to have in this case, because they pretty much can only play RMD. Excuse me, but they may not know exactly what Team Luminosity is going in with, so there's a potential for a little bit of mind game there coming out of Luminosity. After the first match, the losing team will be able to decide what the next map is going to be, so they'll be able to give themselves a little bit of maybe a home court advantage or something like that. The winning team will then be able to choose their composition based on whatever map the losing team chose, and then the losing team will be able to pick their composition based on the comp that the winning team chose. So a little bit of back and forth action there in terms of figuring out exactly what they're going to be playing, where they're going to be playing, and what compositions they're going to be able to play, which does add a lot more in the way of flexibility to how they want to play out the rest of the series.
Yeah, not only that, but there's a lot of mind games going into this. What team, you know, a lot of the times people have multiple compositions, but we are going to take a look at the prize pool. This is one of the biggest regional prize pools we've ever had, $100,000. First place getting that $50,000. Second place going away with $20,000 and down from there, as well as the 3 tickets to BlizzCon, which for a lot of these players is more important than the money.
Yeah, absolutely. And we do actually have the comp choices in from both of these teams. Juveniles, as we expected, they're going to be playing that Rogue Mage Druid. They have a Rogue, a Mage, and a Druid, and those are their only 3 players that are here. So that's kind of what they're stuck with. But if you're going to be stuck with a composition, I think RMD is a pretty good one to be stuck with. It's pretty strong right now.
Yeah, I think pretty much every single team here is worried about fighting the 2 RMDs in the tournament. We do have Juveniles as well as Temple Storm running that as their main composition, and I don't think anyone wants to play against them. Yeah.
Luminosity, though, I definitely feel like they're a team that can do well against RMD, and they will be playing that Turbo Cleave, which is the Enhancement Shaman. They actually go Fury Warrior for their Turbo Cleave, and they'll have Danny Carey on the Resto Druid. So this is going to be a really I'm really excited for this match. I feel like these players are they're fairly well matched against each other, and this is going to be a close series.
Yeah, absolutely. I know for a fact that Luminosity is going to be coming out with a few surprises. Danny Carey, Smexen, and Vanguards are all very well prepared. They've played RMD many, many times. So if there's any 3 players that could overcome the composition, it's going to be them because they are all amazing.
Absolutely. So the players are just now getting ready. They will be ready to go here in just a moment. But in the meantime, if you want to head over to the Blizzard Gear Store, we do have a promo code going on this entire weekend. If you use the coupon code and in your checkout in your cart, use the promo code WOWRTB15. That'll get you a 10% discount on anything you choose to purchase through the Blizzard Gear Store. So now is a great opportunity to pick up that plushie that you always wanted. I know there's some pretty awesome new stuff that just showed up in there as well. So definitely a good time time to get in on some sweet Blizzard swag.
Yeah, great opportunity to take advantage of that code this weekend. And we do have a tweet coming in. How many push-ups does Bajira do before hosting WoW esports? I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's a lot. I've seen him do hundreds and hundreds before in his stream. So
yeah, I'm pretty sure he does every single push-up. Like he does all of the push-ups in the world. That's what Bajira does before every single before hosting and before every single broadcast, before every stream. He just is constantly. He's doing push-ups right now, I would imagine.
Yeah,
he's just over somewhere in his suit and everything. Doing
while
push-ups.
He's watching the games before the analysis, he's just cranking out a few push-ups.
Yeah. All right, so we're going to take a look at Team Juveniles here real quick and see how they are getting themselves prepared in their player pod. We can see them getting all set and ready to go there. We've got Roasties getting himself set up. Sitting behind him, we can see Cubsy back there. And Wealthy Man, oh, there he is. He's just hiding behind Cubsy for a second. Wealthy Man in the back there, of course. They will be playing that Rogue Mage Druid. These guys have definitely made a name for themselves with their RMD play as well. It's like we were saying earlier, it's an extremely strong composition, but these guys play it really, really well. And when you only have one composition, that can... In some ways, it's a disadvantage because you're not able to counter comp as well, but it also means that you've got a ton of experience with that one comp. And RMD is fairly well-rounded. It does pretty well in most matchups. There's no real like hard counter to RMD at the moment. So
yeah, it's one of those comps that's fairly bulletproof. You could say they can really deal with any composition and anything that players throw at them as long as they play well, and that's going to be key coming to a LAN tournament like this. I know these players feel like they're very underrepresented, I guess. Like they don't get the recognition they really should for how amazing these guys really are. They're not big streamers, they don't have big names, but coming to this tournament, I know they're looking to prove themselves and really show that they can do a good job.
Yeah, definitely. Like we were saying in the opening for the show, this is kind of a changing of the guard for WoW esports. There's a lot of new and fresh names in the BlizzCon tournament series. Like these guys have played a lot in online tournaments, like the GCD TV series. They've played a lot there, and we've been able to see them even on different teams. These 3 players, we've seen them play a lot before. But they're very, very strong players, and it's really exciting to be able to be here for part of their first real showing in an actual like serious BlizzCon event. Like this is really, really cool to see. I'm definitely excited to see how they're going to work out in this next match.
Yeah, there's a lot of old tournament veterans that always felt like there's online players and there's tournament players, and this tournament is a good example of some new blood in the water, I guess you could say. You don't see a lot of old faces. There's a few Chanimals and Vanguards here, but for the most part, it's all new teams looking to prove themselves and show that they want to win, and they can do it.
Yeah, we've seen really great play out of this team in the past. Like I was saying, Roasties in particular has been really, really good at getting those crazy saps. Like he does the blind into the sap sort of maneuver, which is... It's a lot harder to pull off than it might seem until you get really, really familiar with it and really good at actually pressing the buttons at the right time. It can be very difficult to actually land that, but he's so good at finding the right opportunity to drop the blind and then drop the sap right afterwards. Cubsy as well has just been an amazing healer in so many different teams. Every single time there's a team with Cubsy on it, they do well. Like he's just so good at keeping his team alive through any sort of crazy amount of damage that you can throw at him.
Yeah, we're going to have a short delay because of an audio issue with Team Luminosity, so we're going to talk about these teams just a little bit more. And like you were saying, for Team Juveniles, it's going to be up to Roasties to really set up Wealthy Man, making sure he's getting the off stuns, so it's easy for Wealthy Man to push in for those deep sheeps. And it's going to be very important for them to all work as a unit so they can get the crowd control they need out to actually land a kill. And it's going to be hard because Vanguard, Smexon, and Danny Carey know what they need to do to shut that down.
Yeah, definitely. And speaking of them, let's go ahead and take a look at Luminosity as they are getting set up over in their pod here for just a second. We can see these guys just getting set up here, no problem. We got Vanguard's hanging out in the middle. He's probably going to be playing his... he prefers to play Rep Paladin, but I would expect to see him playing Enhancement Shaman in this series. And of course, we've got Smexon and Danny Carey in there as well. Smexon being the one closest to the camera, and Danny Carey being the one in the back. Danny Carey is an amazing Druid, by the way, when he does play Druid, which is what he's been preferring more recently. He's just similar to what I was saying about Cubsy. He's the sort of player that he can let people live through just crazy amounts. He's like stuck in cat form in Africa in a deep freeze, and which is weird for Africa. It's kind of warm there. But he'll just be out in the middle of nowhere, and all of a sudden he's just back in the action, heals his team right back up, goes back behind a pillar, sits down and have a drink. Like, he's so good at just the really, really technical play that can come out of playing a Resto Druid.
Yeah, he's one of the best Druids at actually avoiding deep freeze sheeps. So you'll see mages in this matchup pushing in, trying to put him into a deep freeze and then polymorphing him. If he can manage to get in bear form or cat form and immune that, then it really makes it hard for the mage to get the crowd control they need out. And he's one of the best Druids at dealing with that and really managing his cooldowns in a situation where this rogue mage might go on him. I'd have all the faith in the world that he'll be able to survive.
Yeah, of course, Vanguards as well, playing the Enhancement Shaman. He's been known for his Retribution Paladin play in years past, but more recently he's been playing more and more of the Enhancement Shaman just because Enhancement does so well in this sort of like Turbo Cleave composition. It's so survivable. It can help keep his team alive through periods of heavy damage. It can stay alive himself, and so Vanguard's playing that. I would expect to see some really, really top-level play out of him as well. He's one of the tournament veterans here as well. He's spent so much time playing in tournaments past that he's going to be calm and collected, which is really what you need as the Enhancement Shaman in every single match.
Yeah, I think the last regionals Vanguards was at, he actually managed to get 3rd place, so close to making it to BlizzCon. So I'm sure this year he's more pumped and ready than ever. This team has been one of the most practicing teams out of them all. I always see them on ladder practicing this Turbo Cleave, making sure they're here, prepared, and ready to go.
Definitely. So we do have a interview video between these two teams that we will be able to jump over and check out what their thoughts were on this upcoming match.
Well, we actually have a history with Juvenile. They played RMD in the qualifiers, and they're actually the reason we didn't qualify. So it's going to be a pretty hard matchup.
We've played against Luminosity a lot, and we just know, I don't know, it's not like that scary for us.
RMD has historically been probably like a hardest comp that we've faced as a team in general. But you know, we've played them a lot on ladder. We've played a lot of RMD is a very popular comp, and knowing that they're playing one comp, you know, at least we know what we're getting into. So we're hoping to pull a victory this time. I think they're all great players, but I'll say Cubsy stands out the most.
I think Cubsy is probably up on my level. I think he's a really good Druid. I mean, he just covers everything.
You know, we crushed Luminosity pretty badly in the second cup, but I think they've been improving a lot, but I think, you know, everyone's been improving too, so I'm not really any more scared of them than I was the first time.
So definitely a lot of... Actually, both teams seem not quite super confident in this matchup. Luminosity saying, obviously, that they were the Juveniles was the team that knocked them out of one of the qualifier cups. I believe it was the second qualifier cup for North America. But then Juveniles as well saying, obviously, these guys will have practiced a ton, and they've even saying they've improved a ton since that time. So I really feel like this is going to be a super close series.
Yeah, I think Smexon's going to be coming out, like I said, with a few tricks up his sleeve. It's nice to see that these teams seem to have a lot of respect for each other, though. They're definitely not taking these matches lightly, and they're both going to be coming out playing extremely serious.
Absolutely. So we will be getting into this game here momentarily. It is now starting up, and we will see Juveniles versus Luminosity in this game one. It is a best-of-3 series, and whoever wins this will move on for a chance to go into the winner's bracket of this particular group. And if they win that series, then they will move on to tomorrow, the best 4 teams tomorrow. But whoever loses this, they're not out of it just yet. There is an opportunity for them to still come back later on. Either way, I feel like we're going to see some amazing play coming out of these teams in about 12 seconds once these doors actually open.
Yeah, it's going to be a very explosive match. We'll probably see this RMD push in, try to get a good opener. We'll have to see if Vanguard, Smex, and Danny Carries can get them out and what they really make of this, and if they can force any defensive cooldowns right away. The Shroud of Concealment coming out from Roasties. They are going to push in, and Smex and Danny Carey as well as Vanguard's going to sit behind the pillar, just waiting to get opened on. Vanguard's getting sapped up there right away. The sap onto Danny Carey, actually, well done by Roasty. Smexon getting cheap shot. The cheap shot onto Vanguard's. The triple CC coming out immediately. Vanguard's in a lot of trouble. The DR ring coming out onto Vanguard's. He's not using that Strong Wall just yet, trying to get by with the Ancestral Guidance healing. Danny Carey still in CC, put into that deep freeze right now with Smexon trying to turn around the pressure onto Wealthy Man. The Iron Dart coming out from Cubsy, and that is the recklessness coming out of Smexon.
Yeah, Wealthy Man now in a little bit of trouble here. We may see the first ice block unless Cubsy can keep this healing going. The Iron Bark is now about to wear off. Are they going to be able to get some other CC onto Cubsy? Wealthy Man dipping so low. He gets caught in the Ursox Vortex as well. Smoke Bomb comes out. Wealthy Man could be in some trouble here, but he's still holding on to that ice block. I cannot believe that Cubsy has kept Wealthy Man alive for so long through all that amount of damage. That was really, really well done by Team Juveniles.
Yeah, and he still has his trinket up. He did use that Heart of the Wild there to empower his healing now into that full Stormbolt by Smexen. Wealthy Man's still taking a lot of damage. Actually has no more mana left for spell steals, which is what his mana is primarily used for. Cubsy getting swapped to using that Bark Skin. Doesn't want to mess around, doesn't want to take too much damage off Kidney onto Smexen, as well as the Polymorph. Vanguard's getting cheap shot up. Danny Carey's getting put into that defreeze. Is there going to be follow-ups? You see there is. Wealthy Man gets the full Polymorph. He has to trinket that right away. Vanguard's didn't have that Shamanistic Rage up, and we did see also Vigilance going out onto Vanguard. Smexen playing Vigilance instead of Safeguard, I believe, is what we just saw. Cubsy getting Panda stunned? Is someone playing a Panda in this matchup?
I'm not sure. I don't actually see who that might be. I don't see a Panda in there, but maybe. I'm not entirely sure. Danny Carey now stuck into that mighty bash. The Ring of Frost coming down as well. He will get caught in that, but just for a moment. Now into the full Cyclone. Vanguard's caught into a full Kidney shot as well. Shaman Rage does come out. Vanguard's down to 20% health. Could be in a lot of trouble here. Danny Carey has now come out. The Rallying Cry comes out from Smexen as well. So Vanguard should be able to stabilize at this point, but that was a lot of... Ooh, and a nice offensive Cyclone onto Vanguards from Cubsy there, keeping him at low health until maybe just long enough. And yeah, the Deep Freeze comes out onto Danny Carey. Vanguard's caught into that stun again as well. Smexen into the Cyclone. Vanguards is gonna go down.
Wow, that cross EC coming out of Roasty's Wealthy Man and Cubsy from start to finish was on point. They weren't even able to force an ice block from Wealthy Man. So it was that ice block as well as Cold Snap. And I don't think Cubsy even ever trinketed. So just put on the back foot all game, not really able to turn around. Cubsy able to heal through that damage, that opening damage easily with Heart of the Wild. And really, Team Juveniles coming out and showing that they're here to play.
Yep, so we are going to head over to Bajira at the Analyst Station to get his take on how that first match went down.
Hey guys, so one of the interesting things about this is that a lot of times we hear, we're talking about Juveniles saying that they're an inexperienced team. People don't really know much about them. You know, they're not a really hyped team. However, when they played through the qualifier cups, they destroy the competition. And once again, we're seeing them face off against Luminosity, one of the most powerful teams in the tournament, you know, perennial powerhouses, and these guys handled business. You can look at the, you know, lovely arena UI that we have, and you can often see every member of Luminosity CC'd. Now, right here, we did see them swapping clones over beautifully just as Deep Freeze came off the yard. They got him in a half kidney. Meanwhile, Smexen is in a full clone into a half clone, Danny Carey into a sheep, and Vanguard is left alone once again and falls. The thing about Turbo Cleave is they can all work together and rotate cooldowns, but if everybody's in CC, it really leaves one person extremely vulnerable, and Juveniles did an excellent job setting that up. If we see a repeat performance of that game in this next match, looks like Juveniles could be having a very strong performance in this tournament. Throw it back to the casters.
Thanks a lot, Bajir, for that expert analysis. I 100% agree with you. I think the ball is in the court of these RMDs. If they play well, I don't think they're going to lose. The only thing these teams can really hope for is that they make mistakes. And if they don't, scary.
Yeah, definitely. We do, however, have a map choice in from Luminosity, and it's pretty much, I think, what we would expect in this situation. They're going to be going to Dalaran Sewers, which is a much closer map. It does give them a lot more opportunity to keep up that constant pressure throughout the match, and also get away in those important moments because there are a lot more of line-of-sight blockers on Dalaran Sewers. So I feel like this is going to be a good opportunity for Luminosity to sort of claw their way back in here. The game will be starting here actually very quickly. We are just jumping right into this next game in a hurry, and we're going to see how this can go out. Neither team has changed their composition. They're both sticking with the same Rogue Mage Druid versus the Turbo Cleave for Luminosity. So we're just going to have to see if Luminosity, they obviously feel like this is their best composition to be able to take this out with. So are they going to be able to do it here on Dalaran Sewers?
We'll have to see. I mean, this is their map pick. Dalaran Sewers is kind of the turbo haven. They can connect all their targets when they need to. They can run away when they need to. But I don't know. I think if Roasty's Wealthy Man and Cubsy play as well as they did, this is going to be very scary, even on a map like Dalaran Sewers.
Absolutely. So we will be getting in this game here in just a second. The timer is ticking down. We are at 15 seconds until the gates open, and we move into Game 2 between Juveniles and Luminosity. This is a best-of-3 series, so if Juveniles wins this, they will be moving on, and Luminosity will be down a game in their group. It does not mean that they are out of it just yet, just means that they have a little bit harder to work their way back up. Of course, that is assuming that Juveniles is able to take the win, and I feel like Luminosity is definitely a team that can put it back on them in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. The Shroud of Concealment coming out once again. Vanguard's Danikir and Smexon. Basically just a waiting game. Wealthy Man, Cubsy, and Rosies do kind of dictate the opener as long as Wealthy Man is in that stealth. So they do have a little bit of time, but not too much. Once Wealthy Man pops out of that invisibility, they won't really get that much of a scary opener. I mean, that's pretty much ideal for Vanguard, Smexon, and Danikir. They shut down the RMD's opener, and now Wealthy Man's just going to have to sit back.
Yep, the sap does come out onto Vanguards. It does not look like Juveniles wants to move in just yet, though. Just taking the opportunity to put the sap onto Vanguards. Going to follow it up with another one, probably a real short one there, too. Yeah, just going ahead and putting the full DR. Now the cheap shot comes out onto both Vanguards and Smexon, but Danny Carey is hiding in the back in stealth still. Does manage to put out the Iron Bark onto Vanguards, but gets caught into that deep freeze immediately himself. Going to be caught in this Ring of Frost as well. It's a full Ring of Frost. The Iron Bark is about to wear off for Vanguards, but he gets a nice big heal on himself, and he should be totally fine. He's still holding onto Sham Rage as well. Now Danny Carey caught into that full Cyclone, though. He may have to go ahead and use the Shamanistic Rage here. A second Cyclone follow-up onto that. Vanguard's down at 40% health. Still has not used Shamanistic Rage. He's hanging onto it for so long. He is going to go ahead and trinket out of that Cyclone to be able to keep some healing going out and keep from being stuck in it for too long. Now that second Deep Freeze onto Danny Carey. Vanguard's now into the Smoke Bomb, but still has not used his Shamanistic Rage. Yeah,
he's pinching it as long as he can, but it may be too late. Down to 10% HP. Danny Carey having to trinket, displace away, trying to do everything he can. The rallying cry coming out of Smexon. Vanguard is in a lot of trouble. They tried to play it patience, but that is the full blind on a Danny Carey. Rallying cry is going to fade if they can get a little bit more damage onto Vanguards. They could just win this game right here and now, but Vanguard survives. Danny Carey is out of that CC. They managed to get some pressure out onto Cubsy. The Barkstain came out as well as the Trinket and Heart of the Wild. So Cubsy using a lot there to try to secure the kill on Vanguards, and Danny Carey, Vanguard, and Smexon just barely surviving there, using basically all their defensive cooldowns.
Yeah, they are now trying to turn it back around onto Cubsy here. He is dipping a little bit low there for just a second. He's going to go ahead and Displacer Beast back out of there as his team is now turning it back around onto Vanguards once again. The cheap shot comes out. Smexon caught into that full Cyclone as well. Vanguards could be in a little bit of trouble here. Danny Carey is able to keep him healed, and he does have several Treants out, which will heal him as well, but not if he's caught into the Cyclone. Cubsy just doing amazing work with those offensive Cyclones for this whole match so far, just really preventing as much healing as possible. Of course, now that that's finished, Danny Carey has been able to top his team back off. Now caught into a full Polymorph, though. The immediate Shamanistic Rage coming out from Vanguards. He does not want to risk it once again and let himself get too low. And that's going to give Danny Carey the opportunity to get back out of that Polymorph and keep his team topped off.
Yeah, Wealthy Man doing a great job there, just landing Polymorph onto Danny Carey without using his Deep Freeze, so he still has that available when the Polymorph DRs come back up, and then still just trying to control the team of Luminosity as Wealthy Man, throwing the Polymorphs onto Vanguards onto Smexon now, just trying to prevent that damage, because basically the way RMD works is every 30 seconds they're going to run in and try to get a burst kill with CC, and when that isn't happening, they can just play safe. They can just run away, crowd control, and just make sure the game is in their favor.
Yeah, nice pre-Deep Freeze Iron Bark coming out from Danny Carey there, which is going to help Vanguard stay alive. He's still got 15 seconds left on his Shamanistic Rage, so he could be in some trouble here as Danny Carey gets caught into a full Cyclone. Vanguard's at 40% health. He does go ahead and pop his Ancestral Vigor, which is going to help him stay alive through this by just dealing some damage. But the offensive Cyclone's coming out yet again, going to go through the rest of that cooldown entirely. Now the Shamanistic Rage comes out. Danny Carey does get put into a full Kidney Shot, but with that Shamanistic Rage, I believe that Vanguard should be able to survive through here. It's going to be close, though. The cooldowns are now coming out from Team Juveniles. We see the Shadow Dance coming out. Cubsy is caught into a Cyclone, but is it going to be enough to slow them down? Looks like Vanguards will be able to get out of there. Ooh, and they turn it around onto Wealthy Man in a hurry, and he's forced to use his first Ice Block.
Yeah, but Danny Carey's used his Trinket there in combination with the Shawn Wall, so the next setup is going to be big trouble for Vanguard. That is the full blind onto Danny Carey. Cubsy taking a little bit of damage. Vanguard's trying to tank the damage as much as he can. He did use his Ascendance there, trying to cause as much pressure as possible. Smexon has his Recklessness Blazestorm coming up in around 23 seconds, so he's going to be able to deliver a lot of pressure. And if they can hold on, it could be very scary for Wealthy Man. Down to 20% HP in that execute range, 15% HP, getting very, very greedy, using his second block. Vanguards and Smexon able to force that. Recklessness is still up, and this is going to be big trouble for Juveniles if Smexon can get that Recklessness off.
Yeah, Luminosity seems to have found their target here. They know that they can go onto Wealthy Man and just do a whole bunch of damage to him in a hurry. And if they can keep that up, he's now out of ice blocks, and there is not much in the way of cooldowns remaining for Cubsy for the next 30 seconds as well. He will have an Iron Bar coming up, but not for 10 seconds. Wealthy Man is getting so low. He's having to blazing speed out of there. Is he going to be able to kite effectively? He's got both of the wolves just chewing away at his face this entire time. Drops down that ice patch to be able to kite as well. And now Roasties might actually be in a little bit of trouble. He gets a little bit low there for just a second, but it looks like that's just a diversionary swap as they are going back onto Wealthy Man, putting tons of damage out onto him. Gets pulled back in with that Ursox Vortex. Are they going to be able to keep up the pressure on him?
Well, Cubsy used his NS there and was able to top off Wealthy Man. The Smoke Bomb, though, coming out onto Vanguard's Iron Bark, going up from Danny Carey's. Very well done by him getting into that Smoke Bomb. He is caught into the full Ring of Frost. Still doesn't have his Trinket up for another 15 seconds. Vanguard's doesn't have Shamwall for a while. If this Iron Bark's fade and they still have Burst from it, could be very, very scary. Down to 30% HP. This just could be the game. The full clone Rallying Cry coming out, and Vanguard's will most likely go down here. And Juvenile is going to take this series 2-0, showing that they came to win. Played amazing.
Yeah, it does not look like Luminosity is giving up just yet. Smexon doing his best. And with as much money as on the line here, I do not blame them at all for playing this out to the fullest. Smexon just trying his best to keep stuff up. We see Cubsy is actually completely out of mana. So if they can stay alive a little bit longer, they may actually be able to just whittle them down. We're now 7% into dampening, but Cubsy got a drink off. He's up at 12% mana. Now the blind comes out onto Danny Carey, and I feel like this is probably going to spell the end for Smexon here very shortly.
More than likely, yes. 2v3s do happen in WoW, but they're very rare, and I don't blame them for trying, but it's very difficult, especially against a team that has so much control like RMD to actually pull off a win. But very well played by Juveniles in that series.
Yeah, absolutely. They really were able to show how, like, even though they only have the one composition available to them, they play it extremely well. So that was a very, very good match coming out of Team Juveniles. And now we're going to head over to Bajira at the analyst station to get his rundown and his thoughts on how that match went down.
Hey guys, once again, we saw Juveniles playing some absolutely tournament perfect RMD. These guys are here and they mean business, dropping Luminosity in that first round match. Now, before the games, the casters were talking about Roasties and his ability to sap off of nearly anything. So one of the things that's really neat about this play right here is that we see Danny carries into a full Ring of Frost and gets half sapped out of the Ring of Frost, Smexon in a full polymorph. They followed that up with another clone on Danny carries, and Vanguard's tried to get himself a heal, but ended up falling down, probably interrupted on that cast as well. So that was some exceptional RMD play, and I am definitely excited to see Juveniles continue on in this tournament, especially if they're going to be playing like that. We're going to go ahead and throw it back to the casters and get ready for maybe an interview again.
Thanks a lot, Bajir, for that analysis. That was a very, very well game played by Juveniles. Like we were saying, they came and they delivered. They're showing that they can play on land and they can perform.
Yeah, absolutely. And Bajira made a great point. I actually missed it during the match that Roasty managed to get that sap out of the Ring of Frost. When you're the way that ends up working for people who are maybe not aware, when you're sitting in CC for an extended period of time, you will actually drop combat while you're in there. And if the rogue can vanish or just get a re-stealth through whatever means, they can actually throw a sap on you. And that's something that Roasties does incredibly well. So we saw him using that to at least a little bit of an advantage there in that last matchup, and they were able to claim their first series here at the WoW Americas Regionals. Now we do have our winner interview ready, so we're going to head back over to Bajira and get the rundown from the winners on how they felt about that.
Hey guys, I'm joined here at the analyst station by the man himself, Roasties, who landed that sick sap out of the Ring of Frost. So you, once again, we talked about this, you are known for sapping out of just about everything. Yeah. Is there any sort of particular methodology you use to land those saps, just awareness?
Well, combat's like 6 seconds, so usually like when they're full poly, like and Wealthy Man the Mage isn't going to be able to get another resheep or something, I'm dancing, like it's usually just really easy to just get a sap off it, so don't really have to think about it too much.
Awesome, so it's probably like a communication thing, a familiarity, because I imagine your communication and your familiarity with your teammates, your synergy has to be good because you guys are one of the only 3-man teams here. Yeah. So do you think that that 3-man roster only having RMD, do you think that gives some sort of disadvantage, or maybe since you guys play so much together, you have so much synergy that it's actually an advantage of some sort?
Yeah, I think it actually could be an advantage maybe because like we don't have to practice any other like classes or setups or anything. We just RMD all over again, and so like don't really doesn't matter too much, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. So you guys are a little bit new to the tournament scene, but have been absolutely tearing it up. You've shown that you're definitely able to dispatch with Turbo Cleave. Are there any teams, in the tournament leading up to that you guys might be a little bit less comfortable facing?
I think I'm kind of scared of Joey and Channel and Grecky's team. I mean, I think they're really good, and we've played against them a lot, but I think we could beat them maybe.
Awesome. Well played so far. You guys are definitely giving us some awesome games to enjoy, and I look forward to seeing you guys continue on in the tournament. We're going to throw it to a quick commercial break and be right back with some more arenas. Thanks for watching.
I've been playing Rogue since Season 11. I've been playing WoW since Season 8, but just picked up Druid right before last year's regionals.
Even though I'm one of the youngest players here, I feel pretty confident.
We crushed Luminosity pretty badly in the second cup. It was really nerve-wracking, playing the 5-game series versus them to qualify.
It's for one of our best games we played.
I'm not really any more scared of them than I was the first time.
I've played so many games with the Mage, Wealthy Man, so I think we're just on point right now.
We are very consistent as a team.
I don't think there's anything that we can't beat. I know we have what it takes as long as we're consistent.
I'm hungry to get to BlizzCon.
I really want to go.
I think we can definitely still win with 3.
If we play well, we should not lose to anyone.